my report for you this evening. I love the way that our guests are always included. That is a wonderful thing to do. I like the fact, especially Gail, you made it a point to introduce each of us to Jeremy individually.
All right.
Great job. We usually pick it up as we go, as we move through the meeting in the room, but you took it upon yourself to just take that role and run all the way through it. Great job. Sergeant at Arms.
Thank you for that.
Mr. Sergeant at Arms and your helpers. You might be the best people to help move this piece of wood around, since this is part of the environment. This is part of the stage. So in that respect, Sergeant at Arms is responsible for making sure that the stage is set or reset. So keep an eye out and be ready in case this needs to move.
Great point.
And the other part of that is impromptu movement is hard to handle. So if you plan on moving anything on the stage, plan it in advance and inform the Sergeant at Arms or one of their team members to help you. That way, what we do up here can be seamless. It's less distracting to the audience. We want to see the speaker come up and jump right into their speech rather than wait for something to be changed or moved or set up on the stage. So that takes planning. If you're going to need to do that for your presentation, inform the Sergeants at Arms in advance, and things will go very smoothly. Valerie, great job tonight, as always. I like the fact that you started to read your technical material and you said, oh, let's just play in the sandbox. That was an impromptu thing to do, and it fit with what we heard earlier, and I think it fits our mood. Great job. That was very insightful to do that. I enjoyed that. Very creative table topics, simple, accessible, and it gave us a way to play a little bit in our minds. What is she going to do with colors? How can you talk about colors? But you did a very good job of bringing that up to us. Great job. Be careful to keep the lectern occupied at all times. So if you are speaking and you're finished, wait for the person who is going to take over to arrive back at the lectern to exchange, because this is the focal point for the audience. If somebody leaves this spot, everyone loses focus, and now the meeting kind of gets off track and you have to bring it back. That can be avoided if we just make sure that someone's always here. So make sure that exchange happens here, not elsewhere. I would also suggest, and we probably don't do this, we have done it rarely, and that is for when you're doing table topics, have the word of the day maybe introduced earlier in the meeting, long before table topics, and so that by the time we get to table topics, we've heard it more often, and we're kind of prepped and ready to use it. It's on our minds more, rather than introducing it at the last minute. That's just a suggestion. Maybe we should try that, see if that works. And we can use it in our speeches, throw it in. That might be kind of interesting. Jim, you were very encouraging, as always, and you're positive in your evaluations, and I like your insights. It's helpful to hear what each of us has to say when we evaluate speeches, and I think, Jim, you always have something valuable to give to us, not just the speaker, but to all of us. Thank you for that. Marco, you have a very sensitive way of presenting points to grow on. I want you all to pay attention when Marco evaluates, to gather his sensitivity. Appreciate it and try to use what he has. He has serious things to say. He's like me. He's a technical kind of a guy, and we're always serious about things, but he turns that around and uses sensitivity to present good, solid recommendations. Good job, Marco. Kimberly, I like the fact that you're excited about your topic. That is the key to being a successful speaker, right there. That's the key. You have knowledge about your subject. You're gaining basic speaking skills in an environment like this. The ingredient that you personally bring to this is your excitement and your passion about your subject. That's all you need. And you have it in spades. Great job. Molly, you have a wonderful smile. A wonderful smile. Always use it. Teach me how to use mine. I like the fact that your voice is strong. Even though English is not your first language, your voice is strong enough that we can understand you very well. So that's a wonderful thing. Strong voice, big smile, you're accessible now. That's great. And I like the fact that you're always trying to gesture appropriately with your words. That helps me to understand what you're talking about. One thing I would like perhaps to suggest for you is when you have a closing, maybe try to memorize a short piece of your closing so that you don't have to read, and so that we can then be energized and take away your message. It's important to make sure that we work on our last few words and make them internalized. And then we can take the audience away and they'll remember us. That's just a suggestion on my part. I always enjoy myself. And Jim, great inspiration. Let's go back to the beginning of the meeting. Great inspiration. I agree with you 100%. You all missed out when you didn't come to the presentation last Saturday. She'll probably do it again. Highly recommended, Cheryl Roush. The only suggestion I would make, Jim, was you did go a little bit longer, not much, but a little bit longer than a typical inspiration point. So if you plan on that, talk to the Toastmaster or the president in advance and just cue them in that you're going to use a little bit of extra time. That's all. I don't mind having a longer presentation as long as we're including it in the schedule. But great job. Thank you for that. Now, Natalie, give us a report card, please, for accounting and grammarian.
So do you want to evaluate her? Richard, you open it?